We be live. Hi everyone. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Guys, make sure you like the stream today, Susie. You promised me a very, very juicy day with amazing stories. What is it? What do we have today? Hi
True.
guys. Hi everyone.
Oh my gosh, we got a lot of juicy stuff to go through today. First, we have this poll that just came out, and I think it's one of the first polls that really examines American Muslims' attitudes towards October 7th, at least the first that I'm aware of. Then we have the story of a Yazidi sex slave that was rescued from Gaza, and
Yes.
the information behind her rescue is crazy. Then we have ISIS terrorist attack that was prevented by the FBI. Shouts out.
Thank you.
And that was going to be conducted by an Afghan national. Then we're covering this is too much. Basically, there's this trend of Dutch police officers like refusing to guard Jewish sites over moral objections. So we're gonna, because that's a whole
Oh, what
thing.
the hell?
And so we're gonna,
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna
Oh.
talk about that.
Mm.
And then we're gonna cover this okay. Last but not least, we have to talk about none other than Zakir Naik. So
Oh,
I
nice.
mean, and Zakir
The
Naik
doctor.
is in Pakistan, and it does not seem to be going well.
Okay,
He's
that's
been
gonna be fun.
pissing people off. There's a lot of backlash.
All right.
So we're gonna talk about his antics in Pakistan.
So stories from the U.S., Gaza, United States, Netherlands, and Pakistan. This is a pretty interesting mix today, guys. Are you liking the stream? These are amazing. By the way, thank you so much for Susanna and Dee in the live chat and other people responsible for gathering these stories. These are stuff that, the way that we analyze them here on Atheist Republic, I actually looked at far and wide. You don't see this anywhere else. So that deserves a like. That deserves a like. And also make sure you mention in the comments that you have liked the stream. Oh, my voice is different today. Yes, please, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys like the stream, more people are going to end up watching the stream. So please go ahead. It's very important that you do that at the beginning of the show. I see a lot of people are here. Okay, so Susie, today's stories, are they tragic? Are they funny? Are they depressing? Are they wholesome?
I mean, well, I just gave you the preview, and I think generally it's pretty
Mostly.
titillating.
Okay, good. I'm excited.
It might not necessarily be good news, but it's interesting news.
Interesting news. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. And the religion seems to be mostly all Islam, right? So the first one was Islam, second was Islam, third one was Islam. No, fourth one was not Islam. That's Judaism. Fifth one is Islam. Okay, so 4 out of 5.
Well, anti-Semitism, really.
Anti-Semitism, yes. Okay, cool. All right, so clappable, I'm assuming, for the first one.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
First news.
A new poll reveals that nearly 40% of U.S. Muslims deny the Hamas atrocities. A new poll conducted by Jail Partners for the Heritage Foundation reveals startling perspectives among U.S. Muslims, particularly regarding Hamas's October 7th attacks on Israel. Despite overwhelming evidence of atrocities, including the murder of 1,200 people, 39% of American Muslims deny that Hamas committed such acts, while only 31% acknowledge them, like confirm that they believe them to be true. And then an additional 30% say, I don't know. The survey highlights further highlights anti-Semitic beliefs, with 57% of U.S. Muslims agreeing that Jews have too much power over U.S. policy, and 58% asserting undue Jewish control over the media. YouTube We are reporting on the results of a poll for educational purposes. Okay. Just have to give that disclaimer for the algorithm. In contrast, 64% of the general public in contrast, 64% of the general public recognize Hamas's atrocities, showing a sharp divide in perceptions. Additionally, 34% of American Muslims rank the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as their top voting issue of 2024 election, a stark contrast to the general population, where only 4% actually prioritize this conflict in their voting for this upcoming election. These findings raise concerns about the growing disconnect between communities on critical global issues. So there's a lot to dig through here. And first of all, and I also want to do kind of a compare and contrast between these results and the results we saw for polling British Muslims, because we covered the results of a similar kind of poll among British Muslims several months ago. And the top finding from that poll found that only 1 in 4 British Muslims actually acknowledge Hamas's atrocities.
What?
Yeah. So, one thing that I think that is important to highlight. So let's just go through the first thing. So basically, in the if you look at the poll, I can pull up the histograms if we want. But basically, if you look at the polling for the statement, Hamas committed murder and rape in Israel on October 7th. Do you agree with that statement? For the general population, it's 64%. For US Muslims, it's 31%. And then saying for the state,
only 60% for the general public? That's
yes.
insane.
And then for the statement, Hamas did not commit murder and rape in Israel on October 7th, US Muslims agree with that statement, 34%. So again, for the people who say that the atrocities did happen, it's 31%. For the people that say that it did not happen, it's 39%. And then versus for the general population saying that the atrocities did not happen is only 7%. So it's multiples higher. And then for the people that said, I don't know, it was 30% for US Muslims and 29% for the general population. So, because I see a lot of people are saying like, oh my God, that 30% are saying that they don't even know that the atrocities happened. So therefore it's actually like 61%, or excuse me, 69% are, denying the atrocities. I don't think that's a fair statement to make, given that the general population said that they did not know to nearly the same percentage. Right. I think that's important to highlight.
Yes. So the general public is just ignorant, basically. They just don't like, what the hell? They just don't know what the hell is going on in the world. No. Okay.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. That might be shocking to some people, but that's honestly not shocking to me. I don't know if people know the extent to which like the average person is not aware of these things, because it's not a part of their life, So that's actually not surprising to me. Especially considering that when it comes to looking at where the general public ranks this in terms of issues that they're thinking about in terms of the election, the general population said that only like 4% of them prioritize this as an issue when they think about this election. So considering that that's the amount of importance that the general population is putting on this, it's not that surprising to me that like 29% say like, I don't know, because they're not prioritizing. It's not that important.
So all the investments by the progressives and the student protesters, well, this is why even Kamala Harris is coming aggressively and saying like, you know what, we're backing Israel 100%. Like both candidates are like heavily supporting Israel now because they realize that, yeah, the students, protesters, and the progressives like crying about all these things is not that significant when it comes to the election.
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's really not. And it's actually embarrassing the extent to which they are openly talking about voting for third-party candidates like Jill Stein. I don't know why I pronounced it that way. Jill Stein. um, uh, literally saying out loud that they're doing that so that Trump wins to spite the Democrats. This is what you call cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's what we call that. Okay?
Yes.
So I also wanted to highlight something that I think is important. So
can I just say, I just one sentence, I know I have to move on, but I kind of enjoy the fact that they all made such a big deal about like stopping imperialism, stopping colonialism, stopping occupation, stopping apartheid, stopping genocide, and they thought that they were difference makers, and now everybody is like, okay, yeah, ignoring them, like all of that investment, it was basically for nothing. So it's kind of, I'm just enjoying that a little bit. Yeah, but go on.
No, here's the thing. Honestly, I think that it didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. But this movement prefers to enact exaggerated, hyperbolic hatred of an established nation state. And a lot of it is just showing how anti-Israel you are for show, showing how anti-Israel you are for the approval of your in-group at the cost of being effective towards recruiting people from the out-group into your in-group. And why is that happening? Because they're choosing to do this through exaggerated performances and displays to show who has the most fealty towards the dogma, who is the most true to the cause, who is the most pure, ideologically pure. And the problem is that to the outside, exactly, performative activism, and it comes out as impotent rage. And for people who are unfamiliar with this cause, like most people are, or they're like, I don't know this that much about this conflict. It seems really complicated. There's a lot of history to go through. I don't know which side to believe. It just comes across as impotent rage, and it's very, very unappealing, and people are dead sick and tired of it. We've had over a year of this just impotent rage and the performativity, and people are dead sick and tired of it. So they're just, and the problem is that causes people to dismiss like the cause completely. We see this with like the radical environmentalist activists and with vegan activists. Like the activists that just stop oil, where they interrupt traffic and they throw cans of soup on priceless works of art. There was a poll that showed, basically asked people like, oh, from the actions of this group, are you more or less likely to support climate activism? Are you more or less likely to support efforts to, address climate change? And people said less.
Yes.
It's a turn off. It's not hot, girls. Okay. It's a turn off, people. So this is what I just need to get this thought out now that you brought it up. This is why I've literally been thinking how I would not wish these allies upon my enemies. Like if I genuinely cared about a cause, this personality type, this ideological mindset, brittle mindset, I would only wish upon any cause that I want to be stomped into the dirt. Like here's the phrase. Who needs enemies when you have friends like this?
Mm-hmm.
Who
I
needs
mean,
enemies when you have friends like this? It's insane. And I was thinking about this because back in 2022, when the Massa uprising revolution was happening, I had so much anger in my heart because I was seeing before my very eyes the dereliction of duty of the entire progressive movement towards this cause on a large scale. There were some progressives that were, kind of into it, but it was mostly Iranians who were progressive, not the progressive movement itself at large, not supporting the women life freedom movement in Iran. I was furious. I couldn't believe the hypocrisy. And now I'm like, thank God they didn't pay attention to that cause. I don't want them to touch the woman life freedom cause because they are so fucking toxic and they destroy everything they touch.
Isn't that a good thing though for us? Because they are like, these are anti-Israeli people, and they're just toxic to their own movement. So we're kind of lucky because they're taking down their own movement. Like when people were showing the protesters, these so-called pro-Palestinian protesters in the streets, and they were like, "Oh my God, these people are annoying! Like, what the hell?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, let them annoy everyone. Let them destroy their movement. I mean, this is great. Please go ahead." Like the anti-Israeli movement, the more annoying they are, the better it is for Israel. Let them go and make people feel turned off of this whole Palestinian cause. Let them sink that ship. Why not? Go ahead, do your thing.
I know, but I still think that it's a loss in the sense of like, there are people that are genuinely suffering. And like, I care about that. Right?
Well, yeah,
And
that's
so
what.
people
Yeah,
are
but
going to be abandoning like the people that are genuinely suffering because their friends are like the best enemy you could ever have. Like,
well, no. The best friends, the actual best friends, is Israel, right? So when I say like yes, it's not because I don't care for the suffering of the Palestinians. I'm saying that the best way to end the suffering of the Palestinians is to let Israel do its thing. Let Israel destroy Hezbollah and Hamas. So if these anti-Israeli movements are basically paralyzed, Israel will have more freedom to go in and just basically finish the job. And basically,
no.
that would be better for Palestinians as well. Yeah. It's not a
Yeah.
lack of caring. Yeah.
But yeah, moral of the story of my miniature rant is that I am so happy that these people actually completely abandoned the woman life freedom cause. Thank God. Stay the fuck out. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My family from the South would say, yeah.
Wait, okay. So there are some comments that Dee have picked for us. Should we read them? So this is a reaction.
This person on Twitter reacting to the poll saying, oh, 30% who did not know are also in the deniers category. Again, I'm going to repeat. I don't think that's a fair criticism considering that 29% of the general population also did not know. That's not a fair criticism. That's on par with the general public.
What is this one?
Oh, okay. So this is a part of the poll that I haven't gotten to yet. So this poll examined many, many other things. And so let's dig through this. So it asked about a bunch of other beliefs among US Muslims. And one of them was Muslim identity politics. Okay. So Armin, just listen to these stats. Muslims proved more likely to support making it illegal to show a picture or cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad at 50% versus the general public, which was 14%. They proved more likely to support the formation of a Muslim political party for 46% than the general public, only 9%. They backed the implementation of Sharia law, 39%, more than the general public at 10%. They also supported declaring Islam America's national religion at 33%, more than the general public, which is 9%. And so this person here is asking, why on earth would 10% of the general population support Sharia?
Yeah, why?
Only...
Like, why? 10% of Americans who are not like Americans, 10, that's a high number. 1 in 10 Americans is like, yeah, I'm not a Muslim, but let's establish Sharia law. What the hell is wrong
yeah.
with this guy? What is what is going on? Can you explain this to me? Can somebody explain this?
I genuinely do not know. I genuinely do not know.
Okay.
I just found that hilarious.
Yeah.
They maybe just don't know what it means. Maybe they just
It's
don't
like,
even know.
maybe they're just trying to be nice. So like, what is Sharia? It's an Islamic thing. It's like, oh, maybe am I a racist for saying no to this?
yeah. Or maybe
I'm
they
like,
think
okay,
it's like,
sure,
okay, well,
whatever.
yeah, let them do what they want to do.
Oh
That's
my
fine. The
God.
night of American Sharia is upon us, you guys.
So we don't even need to get, so this actually is very promising to so many Muslims, because Muslims do not have high percentages in the US as much as they have in Europe. But maybe they don't need to. They don't need to establish Sharia. You don't need to have a high percentage of Muslims in the United States. You just need to get other Americans. It's like, sure, why not? Let's have Sharia.
Yeah, it's fine.
I guess, yeah, why not? I mean, I'm not a Muslim, but I mean, we could try.
And for the record,
but,
many Muslims opposed these policies. 31% opposed implementing Sharia. 32% opposed declaring Islam the national religion. But the general public opposed them far more vigorously. I mean, unsurprisingly, at 56 and 68%, respectively. And, you know, it's worth repeating that like interpretations of Sharia vary a lot. So what people mean,
yeah,
and also a lot of people don't have, even Muslims don't have a thorough understanding of what Sharia entails. So
I do though.
Yeah, I think that we should keep in mind that there is a possibility that people approve of it because they know that they should, versus being really familiar with what it entails.
Right. And also, can I just make it clear, if a Muslim is saying that they don't want Sharia, okay, they're not doing taqiyya, okay, they're just they're just too busy living, okay? They might be Muslim, but it's not a big part of their life, and they kind of like their life as it is, and they kind of know that, like, yeah, sure, I mean, I'm praying, I'm fasting, I may be like, yeah, that's basically it. I'm praying and fasting. That there's nothing else, right? But I don't want Sharia in this land. This is working out for me. I don't like. I'm pretty sure if we have Sharia in this land, things will be effed up, right? So, I mean, they're just minimalist or depending, either minimalist or nominal Muslims, and they're just like too busy living to want Sharia to be like. It's not taqiyya. It's just them. Being minimalist or nominal Muslims. These are the two categories that I've created myself, right? So
like the accusations of taqiyya are possibly the most cringe thing in the world, and I would encourage anyone who's just randomly ranting about taqiyya to cut it out, because you are legitimately cringe. You make me cringe.
But you know who does the most taqiyya accusations? Like the people that are Sunni Muslims.
Towards Shia?
Like towards Shias. Like, you think, like, people think, like, the people, like, oh, they're doing taqiyya. They think, like, oh, maybe, like, I don't know, right-leaning people do that against Muslims the most. It's not true. The most accusation of taqiyya, because Sunnis actually hate taqiyya, right? And they every time Shia says something, I see Sunnis like, oh, is a freaking Shia doing taqiyya again? So that's the main people who do the accusation of taqiyya, Sunnis towards Shia. Yeah.
Yeah. Ahmed is saying, when I was a Muslim, I didn't even know what taqiyya is. A lot of
Yes.
Muslims don't know about it. Yeah.
Same. When I was a Muslim,
So
I didn't get
that's
that.
just a reminder to stop being cringe and accusing random people of taqiyya, everyone. I highly encourage that. And if you want to criticize Islam, encourage and criticize it on the things that are actually like real and
Well, I mean,
consistent.
to be fair, it would be fair to criticize some Shia scholars or some Shia people who know this concept. It is used, okay, but it's not just widely used. It is used by certain by the ulama or activists or certain people who justify it. It's not like it's not a thing. It is a thing. It's just not as common as people think it is.
Armin, the people ranting this accusation in live chats and YouTube comments are not talking about that group of scholars.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm just talking. I'm just saying that for the people who are listening, who are more nuanced. I just want to say, like, not all accusations of taqiyya is false. Sometimes the accusation is actually correct.
Can I also highlight one last statistic that surprised me? Okay, so one of the questions was also basically examining the views in response to this question or the statement, which was Jewish students on college campuses who openly support Israel are not valid targets on college campuses, or they are valid targets. And so 46% of Muslims and 48% of the general population said that Jewish students are not valid targets versus 23% of both US Muslims and the general public said that yes, they are valid targets. And then 31% and 29% said they don't know.
Wait, valid targets for what?
It doesn't say for what. I guess just being targeted. Like for it doesn't.
For what?
Based on the results of the poll that were released, because I looked through it, it doesn't specify targeted for what. I guess like harassment or counter protest.
Okay, wow, that's worrying.
Yeah.
Can you also address this comment here that Dee highlighted?
Oh, I mean, it's just more nonsense.
False.
I mean, what is there to say? More people like we have questions of how people denying that it happened, or people don't deny that it happened. They just say it's false flag.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. So we have to. So Amirs was asking, do they deny it happened? This or deny that it was an atrocity like today? So the 40 talking about the 40%, the 40% of Muslims who deny,
based on the way that it was asked, it does not ask if you view it to be an atrocity. It's did Hamas commit rape and murder on October 7th? Yes or no?
Guys, a lot of you say that 40% is lower than what you expected. 40% is freaking high. 40% is insanely high. Like, that is a huge problem. So it's not. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we understand. And okay, so we have 2 new members. Oh, I don't even know if I want to read that.
I'm not saying that username out loud.
Yeah. I did not even notice the username before but thank you for being a member. What the hell? Okay. Do you want to say this username? I don't even know how to pronounce this.
Diogenes.
Thank you for
Sinope? Yeah. I don't know. Just became a YouTube member. Thank you both for becoming YouTube members. Welcome to Satan's Minions, which is a good reminder, everyone, that one of the best ways to support the show is to become a YouTube member. You can do that by hitting the join button down below. You get access to our members only content and our special emojis, which I'm quite the fan of. And you help make sure that this show and all of our other programming can continue, which includes our entire Persian language channel, other channels in other languages, supporting our entire team, because it's a lot more than just me and Armin. And yeah, thank you for everyone that already supports us.
The next news is actually good news. Wait, actually, there's a video of this. I should go download the video to this because I want to show the moment that this happens. If I could find the video, but yeah, the next news is good news, so we should clap, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Next news.
Next news, Yazidi sex slave rescued from Gaza by international secret operation. This whole story is like really wild. In a complex international rescue mission, 21-year-old Fazia Amin Saido, an Yazidi woman who had been kidnapped and enslaved by Islamic State militants nearly a decade ago, was freed from Gaza after months of diplomatic coordination involving the United States, Iraq, Israel, and Jordan. Saido, part of the Yazidi community that suffered from a genocidal campaign by ISIS, had been held in Gaza, and her release required navigating significant diplomatic tensions, particularly between Israel and Iraq. According to a U.S. State Department a spokesperson, on October 1st, 2024, the United States helped to safely evacuate a young Yazidi woman who had to be reunited with her family in Iraq. After her captor was killed in an Israeli strike, Saido fled to a hideout in Gaza, leading her to eventual rescue through the Kerem Shalom crossing into Israel. From there, she crossed into Jordan via the Allenby Bridge and was finally reunited with her family in Iraq. Hamas, however, disputes the official rescue account, of course, claiming that she left Gaza voluntarily with their knowledge after feeling unsafe due to the ongoing conflict. So, this is a wild story, and there are a lot of different details about what she's been through over the past 10 years and how she was trafficked into Gaza. And it's a bit complicated. So let me pull this up where I have kind of the timeline written down. And I was reading different reporting from the Wall Street Journal and then also from Rudya. And Rudya is a really good source, especially for things that happen in Iraq and Iraqi Kurdistan. And it's quite complex. So basically, my understanding is that she was, when ISIS, was doing its genocidal campaign against the Yazidis, she was captured with her brothers when she was around the age of 10 or 11. And basically her brothers were able to escape, but she wasn't. And she was forcibly married off to a Palestinian ISIS fighter. And I don't know if I want to describe the details, but she was raped, and by the age of 15, she had given birth to 2 children, I believe, if that's the correct timeline. And so she was forced to convert to Islam. She was living with her husband, and he became very abusive towards her after he took a second wife. And then at some point, they became separated, and they were then trafficked into Syria at some point. She was in Idlib for a time. And her husband ended up getting killed. And how was not exactly clear. So then for a while, she ended up in the hellhole on earth, known as the Al-Hol refugee camp. And
Al-Hol, really? Okay.
Yeah. And which, is controlled by the Kurdish fighters, because the world has decided to just neglect our responsibility to deal with a festering camp of ISIS fighters, where I don't know if people know this, but they like run mini ISIS inside this refugee camp. Like they pass judgments, they execute punishments within this camp. Like it's wild. And what the problem is at the Al Hol camp, um, ISIS is constantly organizing jailbreaks and escapes and breaking people out of the Al Hol refugee camp. So at some point, she is part of one of these jailbreaks out of the Al Hol refugee camp. And I mean, this is not a normal refugee camp, guys. To be clear, this is like highly secure, trying to keep tens of thousands of ISIS people like inside this little area. Like it's like a refugee camp, but they're trying to just keep people fenced in. And so anyway, so she's part of some sort of operation that happened within ISIS fighters, and they broke a bunch of people out. And she gets broken out of this refugee camp, and she then gets trafficked to Egypt, I believe, on a fake passport. And then from Egypt, she gets trafficked into Gaza. And the reason why she was going into Gaza was because that was where her husband was originally from. And at some point, and I'm giving you like a very broad overview of the timeline of events as I understand it. Based on all the research I was doing yesterday, like sometimes the details or the timeline conflicted or didn't fully make sense. So basically she ends up getting trafficked into Gaza because that's where her husband, okay, quote unquote, her husband's family was from. And she basically decided that she was going to stay with them for some time. That's my understanding of the story, because unfortunately, there was a ruling by the Yazidi religious leaders in 2019 that any children that were born from this ISIS genocide and the forced sex slavery are not going to be considered Yazidi. Because
What?
Yeah. So they would be rejected by the community. And because my understanding is that Yazidism is, I can't remember the term for this, but it's like an internal group. So if you marry someone who's not a Yazidi, you're no longer considered Yazidi. That's my understanding. So there was a ruling that came out in 2019 that
way to be supportive of people that have gone through so much, through hell and back.
Hell on earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she decided that she was gonna, I guess, stay. And so she gets trafficked to Gaza, and she's staying with her in-laws' family for some time. And basically then she gets married to her husband's brother. So she gets married to her brother-in-law as her second husband, who then becomes her captor. Her in-laws become like her captors. And what happened was that last year, there was a journalist, I think from Rudya, who was in Gaza doing some journalist work. And and this journalist met a Yazidi woman who had been captured by ISIS. And this woman that the journalist met said that she knew another Yazidi woman who was being held in Palestine by the family of the ISIS husband. And so this journalist arranged an interview with this woman, and she used a fake name and everything. And this interview that came out with her then set into motion the plan to rescue her. And so basically, because of this interview she did with a fake name and her wearing a niqab, everything, it raised the issue to the Iraqi authorities. And so this international rescue mission commenced. And so this is actually really crazy. So Israel and Iraq have no diplomatic relationships. And so this really complicated matters. The US probably the State Department, I'm not sure, but basically the US was involved in this operation, not in terms of ground operations. The Israelis were involved in terms of ground operations. And it seems like the US kind of provided intelligence and also like intermediating between Israel and Iraq. And one of the main people, this is so cool. One of the main people who was involved in saving this woman is a Canadian Moroccan Jewish businessman who has dedicated his life to saving Christians and Yazidis that were enslaved and kidnapped by ISIS. And this guy is a total badass. So he was contributing funds and also time and resources towards saving this woman. So there was this really, really complicated
woman or girl. How old is she right now?
Now she's about 21, I believe.
Okay, so woman. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, so she's been through sex slavery for like a decade.
Yeah.
Okay, well, a decade of sex slavery. Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
From 11 to 21. Okay.
Yeah. And what's really sad though is that she had to make the decision to leave her children behind. So what happened was that it's not exactly clear how. It's not exactly clear how, but somehow her second husband, who was her brother-in-law, was killed across several countries and barely begun to recover from what she's been through for over the past 10 years. And she said when recounting, here's a quote. She said she was married off to a Palestinian member of ISIS in Syria at a very young age, following an order by the terrorist group's emirs. Quote, I did not want the marriage when I was too young, but they would not understand because my Arabic was poor. I didn't even know what marriage was. The family, so basically, then she was moved into Idlib, and the reunion was very short-lived because he ended up getting killed. The family of her deceased husband helped her leave Syria and join them in Palestine after the defeat of ISIS. She's been living with them there ever since. She said the family of her husband were good to her. They rented her a house in Nablus and financially supported her at the beginning. However, after her husband's family stopped supporting her, she depended on the generosity of a philanthropist, who's probably the Canadian guy I mentioned before. Yeah, she said that she converted to Islam when she was in Syria and remembers only a little about Yazidism. From her correspondence and behavior, it appears that she was saying this under pressure from her husband's family.
So are people thanking the Israeli military? Are people appreciating the Israeli military for going in and saving this woman?
I mean, who do you mean as people?
And I just well, at least the years. I think we should change the title of this when we release this as its own segment. I think this title, because I want to make sure that the Israeli army is being celebrated. Can we? I mean, you could decide this. Can we change the title of this segment once it's cut out to Israeli army saves sex slave from Gaza? Israeli army saves sex slave from Gaza. I think having the Israeli army at the beginning of the title and giving them credit, I would like that in the title, if it's possible. If it's too late to change the title, it can't. We don't have to change. I just want to give credit. Yeah, can we do that? Oh yeah. Oh, let me show this video while Susanna fixes her mic. Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was just silencing my phone.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, let me. This is the video. I've already showed it once without audio. This is the video of what? Let me see. This is the footage released
of her being reunited with her family.
Family. Okay, let's play it. It's really hard to imagine that this woman went through 10 years of sex slavery before this moment. I don't know, how do you even recover from that? I mean, I hope she
I know.
does, but,
and what's also really crazy is that what people, I don't know, have maybe forgotten is that there are over, I think, like 2,000 people that are still missing from the assault upon the Yazidi community, over 1,000 of which were children at the time of when they went missing during this conflict. And so, many are presumed to be dead, but people in the community are saying, no, we've failed to realize that there are hundreds of people still out there. There are probably hundreds more in her position.
Guys, can you say thank you IDF in the live chat? I just wrote it myself. Thank you IDF. Yeah, but yeah. And a lot of people are hating on Islam right now because of this story, which is very justified. Very justified.
What I think is also deserves to be highlighted is, and this was highlighted by Jonathan Spider in his piece in the Wall Street Journal about this, is the level of involvement between different Islamist areas. So he was basically highlighting how high is the level of Islamist control across several different nations that this was allowed to happen. She went to Iraq, to Syria, to Egypt, then Yemen. All the entire time, excuse me, not Yemen, Gaza. The entire time amongst such a high degree of Islamist control that the entire time that there was no one that could help her. Across 4 different countries.
That's crazy.
And what he was saying is, like, what does that speak to? That this was even, that there was such a high degree of control within all these different nations that this was allowed to occur. I thought that was a very well taken point.
Some of the comments that D highlighted, do you want to check those out?
Oh, yeah. So this person on Twitter is highlighting that poor woman will carry that trauma with her forever. We hope that she can eventually find peace.
Okay, and this one. Oh, this is a good comment. Okay, let's see.
As an Iraqi, I thank my Jewish cousins for their bravery in rescuing. What did I say? I thank my Jewish.
Yeah, go on. I thought you said think, but go on. Sorry. I ruined it. Go on.
As an Iraqi, I thank my look at what you've done to me. You read it.
Okay. As an Iraqi, I thank my Jewish cousins for their bravery. I would prefer if this said Israeli, but that's fine. I thank my Jewish cousins for their bravery in rescuing this young woman being held by Hamas barbarians. It proves once again that these terrorists are nothing but another version of ISIS. Thank you, Israel, and Shana Tova. Somebody translate that, the last part.
No, it's saying like Happy New Year, right? Shana Tova.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, that's Happy New Year. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, by Hamas. I actually want to comment on this. I think Hamas is worse than ISIS. A lot of people are like, Hamas, you have no idea how evil Hamas is. They're actually like ISIS. I actually have compared
I agree.
the standard. Yeah, I actually compared the standards of ISIS and Hamas, and actually Hamas is worse. Which is weird because it seems like I'm kind of like saying like ISIS is not as bad, so I don't want to say that. But there are things that Hamas does that ISIS is like, that's too far for us.
I think Hamas is worse than the Nazis.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
But, to be honest, I think that bears repeating because I don't think, at least within my culture and my nation, like if you make that, if you compare someone to Nazis, like that should have a certain immediate gut feeling in your body. And that's what I'm trying to get people to associate, right? Like that has a certain implication.
Somebody saying Chuck is in the chat is saying they're identical. They're not identical. I will tell you, and we're not exaggerating when we're saying Hamas is worse. And here's how I could tell you that Hamas is worse. When the Nazis were doing the Holocaust, they knew that looks bad, and they had to hide it. They were hiding what they were doing when they were doing the in the concentration camps from the general public, because they recognize that this is evil and it cannot be seen by the general public. When Hamas was doing the same thing, they were live streaming, they were recording it to show to their followers as to brag about it, right? This shows that the people that follow the Hamas ideology, when they saw October 7th, they were proud of it. They saw that as a good thing. When the Nazis were doing it, they recognized that this is evil, and they were trying to keep it hidden. So that's how we understand that Hamas is actually worse than the Nazis. Okay,
wait,
this is also
one comment I wanted to highlight. Wait, where did it go? Ahmed is asking, Susanna, what is the name of the Jewish Canadian guy? His name is Steve Maman, and he is the head of the nonprofit called Liberation of Christians and Yazidi Children of Iraq. And he gave this amazing quote. He said, quote, I made a promise to Fawzia, the Yazidi who was hostage of Hamas in Gaza, that I would bring her home to her mother in Sinjar. To her, it seemed surreal and impossible, but not to me. My only enemy was time. Our team reunited her moments ago with her mother and family in Sinjar when he shared the post with her video. And you can go follow him on Twitter at Steve Maman. Amazing. Sorry for interrupting
also,
you.
there's this. No, I just also want to highlight this cat with a Lebanese flag saying this just seems fake.
Okay.
So I don't know what's. I think the fact that an Israeli rescued the sex slave, like, oh, this just seems fake. Yeah, I mean, Israelis can't do wholesome things, obviously. To me, this comment just seems anti-Semitic. I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it does seem anti-Semitic. All right, so we have a new member, the flying robot duck. I would suggest you go use AI to make a flying robot duck and use that as your profile picture, given that you have a cool username. And there, okay, and also there are some start. Do you start this one from Momo, the last one?
Okay. Momo has been losing his mind in the live chat today, and specifically directed towards me. I don't know why. Susanna, you work for Hasbra. Are you Ashkenazi by any chance? Because this person is such an anti-Semite that the only one is just like, let's just openly racially profile Susanna. And two, the only possibility could be that she's Jewish. But I appreciate Momo for saying it just out loud. He just says it out loud.
It's weird because, like, look, he has these other comments directed at you. And between me and Susanna, do you think this is fair? Between me and Susanna, I'm a bigger simp for the Israeli military and the IDF and Mossad. So I don't know why he's directing all of this hatred towards you. I mean, I know why. I'm actually pretending not to know why. I actually do know why. But do you want to answer this? Because I have an answer for this. Because he's asking you, Susanna, do Palestinians have right to self-defense like your American Constitution? Susanna, why can't Palestinians defend their own homeland? Home and land, actually, not homeland. So, do you want to respond? I want to respond to this.
I would prefer if it's not in the manifestation of jihad and terrorism. That'd be part of it. I think we need to understand that this movement, particularly Hamas, does not operate the same way as other nationalist liberatory movements.
Wait, this channel is anti-Muslims. Okay, well, that's a good answer. I want to answer, but yes, that I know this question was not directed at me, but the Palestinians do have the right to self-defense. However, they don't have right now. Unfortunately, right now they don't have the ability to do self-defense. That's why Israel is being kind and generous enough to use their powers and use their resources to help the Palestinian people defend them against Hamas and Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah and the Islamic Republic in Iran. Right. So yes, Palestinian people have the right to self-defense, but they don't have the ability to do self-defense, and that's why the Palestinian people should be grateful to Israel's military for doing that job for them at the moment right now against Hamas. We got a super chat. Let's address this one and then move on to the next story. Oh, people like my answer.
Oh, so this is from Arjun, and he's talking about what you were saying about the Hamas versus the Nazis, saying, but isn't not hiding the atrocities better since it's easier to expose them? Well, I mean,
I'm not. Yeah,
we're not promoting like a cover up. We're talking about there is a difference between the Nazis who made an effort to hide their crimes from the German public because they knew that they would be shocking and held up as unacceptable and horrific, versus Hamas, which openly posts them because they know that the actions would be praised and celebrated by the public.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't necessarily talking about the consequences on which one is better. We're better off dealing with. I was more talking about the level of evil of the mindset of Hamas. You know, that they don't even consider this to be an act of evil, right? So yeah, maybe if you look at the consequences, you're maybe in some cases you could be correct, but think about the mindset of the people who follow Hamas ideology, where they are at, that they have to be, that they can't even have the recognition that the Nazis had, that we're doing an act of evil. They're like, oh no, we're doing something great. This is something moral. This is the best thing you could do. Right? So I mean, I'm laughing because it's insane, sometimes when the evil is so dark and so tragic that, when I'm laughing, it's just because I don't know how to, I'm laughing about the insanity of it. That's what I'm laughing at. Anyways, we should clap for the next news. Yes. Am I right? Yes. Okay. Next news.
Afghan national arrested in ISIS-inspired election day terror attack. In a significant counterterrorism operation, the FBI arrested 27-year-old Afghan national Nasir Ahmed Tawhidi in Oklahoma on October 7th for allegedly planning a violent election day attack in support of the Islamic State. Tawhidi, who arrived in the U.S. in 2021 after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, was reportedly plotting with his brother-in-law, who was a minor, by the way. He was plotting to conduct this attack with his brother-in-law, who was unnamed in the indictment because that brother-in-law is a child and has certain legal protections for his identity because he's a child. Okay, so we don't know how old this kid was. But just to clarify, okay, so he was reportedly plotting this attack with his brother-in-law and another co-conspirator to carry out the attack, which federal prosecutors said would have targeted large gatherings. According to the criminal complaint, the conspirators sold their family home, purchased firearms and ammunition, and planned to relocate their families abroad in preparation for the attack. The FBI accessed electronic records showing Tawhidi had viewed ISIS propaganda and contributed $540 in cryptocurrency to a Syrian charity that is a front for ISIS. During his interrogation, Tawhidi admitted that he and his brother-in-law had purchased 2 AK-47s for the attack and expected to be martyred. Tawhidi remains in custody as the investigation continues, and his legal team has yet to respond to the charges against him. So this was very, very interesting. And one thing I love when these indictments are unsealed is you can go find the criminal complaint, and it's usually written by the FBI special agent that was in charge of this case, and it lays out all their evidence, and you kind of get to like see behind the scenes a little bit. Like the complaint written by the FBI agent like contains like I know I'm such a nerd. It contains like all the screenshots of like the ISIS propaganda they were watching and like their ISIS PDFs, and it shows all the images that they were like looking at and all this stuff. And I'm like, ooh, let me see like what they're talking about. And it's also cool because it's very transparent, or as transparent, as they can be. This is obviously highly classified. But I feel like I think it's cool that our government like releases that amount of information as part of the ongoing complaint. So shouts out to all the FBI special agents, again, protecting the lives of Americans. So basically, we know that this man and his family entered the United States after the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021. Now, the exact way that he entered the United States is not completely clear. There's some conflicting reports that I was reading. So, at first it seemed like he was in the country on the special visas that the United States created for our allies in Afghanistan. And then it seems like he didn't actually come in on that visa, but he was paroled within the program for Afghan nationals after the takeover of the Taliban. And so he's technically still, his application is pending for a green card. Technically, I don't think he's going to get his green card. So the exact method of like his immigration status is like a little bit, confusing and up in the air. But regardless, so how this guy first ended up on their radar, I'm not entirely sure. But what we do know was that once he was on their radar, I mean, he was in like Telegram channels and all this stuff. What happened was, or this is, I found this kind of funny. So he was creating this plan. And in this plan, he was going to take his family and his wife's family, because the child that he was plotting this attack with is actually his wife's brother, kid brother. Whoops. So his plan was to sell all their property, sell the family's house, sell their assets, and repatriate the family to Afghanistan. So send everyone back to Afghanistan. And then he was going to conduct this attack. So what happened was, sorry, I don't know why I find this so funny. So he was on Facebook Marketplace selling a bunch of his stuff. And so the FBI approached him, except, they didn't say it like that. So what happened was that as this guy was selling a bunch of his stuff on Facebook Marketplace, the FBI, gets in the listings of his DMs, the messaging of his DMs, asking, just starting a normal conversation about buying some of the random stuff he's putting on Facebook Marketplace. And as the conversation between the buyer and the seller on Facebook Marketplace continues, the buyer, secretly the FBI, starts talking about, oh yeah, I actually sell guns and I actually like train people to have guns and all this stuff. And so, oh my God, here I am looking to plan a terrorist attack. And who starts talking to me in my Facebook Marketplace, but none other than a weapons dealer?
No way. No way.
Yeah. Yeah. How convenient. Oh my God. I mean, it must have been, sent by God himself. I mean, if that's not, guys, God sends us signs. So basically, he has this conversation between buyer and seller. It turns out that the buyer, sells guns and stuff. And so they meet up and I think they have they meet each other in person, and then they maybe do some stuff on a range or something, and then they actually have a weapons sale. Okay, but guess what happens? When you're talking to a secret FBI agent and then you officially conduct a transaction in the furtherance of terrorism, they go get your ass right there. So it's like they literally do the exchange and it's like you're arrested. So yeah. So that's how it went down. Yeah, they arrest right after because they have proof that you just did the illegal transaction because you just literally did the transaction with them. So that's how we ended up getting arrested. And
you also have to prove as that it's not entrapment. So you have to prove that the FBI has to prove that they didn't cause this man to want to do a terrorist attack, right? He was trying to do a terrorist attack, and we just gave him we just told him the means to do it, but we didn't make him want to do it. When it goes to court and stuff, if there's any evidence that the FBI was pushing him to do it, then that would be the defense lawyer would actually use that against the FBI. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is one more failed ISIS attack on America for the books.
Yeah. I also want to say, like, it seems like when we're looking at these Western countries' governments, we have a mixed feeling of being disappointed with the immigration officers, like and also being quite often impressed by the intelligence officers. So it's like, thank you FBI or CIA for keeping us safe, and then also we start swearing at whoever is managing the freaking borders. Is that like, I think like this is what we're dealing with. Like, I don't know, like do you guys get the same polar feelings, like you constantly are impressed and thanking them, to all of a sudden going back to swearing at the other, at the immigration? I don't know. I think like it's an interesting contrast. But thank you, FBI, for your service.
I want to say that, so I've been reading some explosive reports that have come out recently that I've been telling Armin a little bit about. I read this report that was basically possibly one of the most extensive reports on Iran's soft power network within religious institutions in the United States. And another report that examines 150 different nonprofit and protest groups that are driving the anti-Israel movement that are literally explicitly pro-terror. And what I've been thinking, reading the report about the Iranian soft power network, I think Canada should be thanking our intelligence services, because the report highlighted that a lot of Iranian operations that occur within Canada actually end up getting prosecuted by our government. Like a lot.
Okay, Susie, Canada is a very, very tiny country compared to the big ass United States. Okay, it's just like the entire, like, yeah, of course we're going to need Americans helping us. Like, don't look at the geographic size of Canada. The entire population of Canada is less than California.
Yeah, comparable.
Tiny ass.
Yeah.
This is a tiny ass country. Okay, like, what do you want? Okay, you're our big brother. We need your help.
I want you to keep your shit together. Okay, you're becoming a liability up there. I actually do have a lot of respect for, like, especially our allies within the Five Eyes network. But just when I was reading through these reports, like over and over and over again, it talked about an operation in Canada that was then prosecuting the United States, like over and over and over again. I was like, what the hell is going on here? By the way, in one of these reports, this is just a little fun fact. I don't know if people know that Hezbollah has a genuine network within the United States and has for decades. But the funny thing is about the Hezbollah network within the United States is that a lot of people that are a part of it are merely motivated for financial gain, not ideologically
Yeah, that's the
married to
difference
it.
between
But
Hezbollah and Hamas.
yeah. So what's so interesting is that some of the Hezbollah operations within the United States have involved cigarette smuggling in like the hundreds of millions and also counterfeit Viagra.
Wow.
I was just reading this
Hezbollah,
report
okay.
and I was like, what the hell?
Counterfeit Viagra being sold by Hezbollah to fund terrorism. Interesting.
But
Interesting.
people, please let me know in the live chat if you would be interested in us covering one of these reports.
Yeah,
just
maybe
heard
that
of-
would be a good story. Hezbollah into counterfeit Viagra selling to
Yeah.
fund their terrorist activities. That's an interesting story. I want to see it. I want to.
Yeah, and also like how the Iranian influence network works within U.S. religious institutions.
But that should be
and
the title. The Viagra should be in the title for sure. That would get more clicks.
okay, but if I did do the Viagra case, that's actually like not a new thing, but we could still cover it.
Does it matter? Yeah, we should cover it.
I also really want to cover this report about the domestic anti-Israel protest movement because I'm only a little bit in the beginning of this report and it is jaw-dropping. Also, and I know the person who wrote it, so I'm maybe thinking of maybe having him on the show. But
oh yeah, that would be cool.
This report has me convinced that this protest movement is nothing except pro-terror, literally pro-terror, and Students for Justice in Palestine, SJP for short, which is the kind of the backbone of this movement, is Hamas. That's actually what I'm convinced of now.
We need to cover this. I think more people need to know this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean that they are Hamas in the sense that they have literally sworn allegiance to them. The same way that someone can like be a lone actor and swear their allegiance to ISIS and then be considered an ISIS member. Like
do a stream with that guy. Do a stream, just you and him. That would be good.
Yeah,
I think we need that. Yeah,
he's a very impressive researcher.
I do want to highlight these comments though.
Oh yeah,
before we move on.
Sorry, that was a bit of a diversion. Some of this, I spent hours reading these reports recently, and it's just jaw dropping. Some things are jaw dropping. Anyways, sorry. So this person's the account Love Democrat Tears saying we can thank Biden Harris for this. This is just the beginning. Okay, and then scroll down.
Okay.
Saying, okay, let's take a stab and understand the man was radicalized before he arrived here and realized that the state could not possibly have vetted most, if not all, of the Afghanis Biden Harris relocated here, as Afghanistan doesn't have the resources and infrastructure that would allow it. And I think there's some level of truth to that. It was so chaotic.
Just dumped all these people there, so they just like, oh, let's just bring all these people here without vetting them.
But it was complicated because there were also like so many of our allies that have received approval and, access because they were working with the US military for years that were left behind. You know what I mean? Like there were people that should have been given access that weren't given access.
I know, but like, doesn't the US have a record of who was working for us? Like that should be an easy, like you pay these people are on the books, these people, there's record. Like it shouldn't be like, oh, we have some allies that we need to move to the US or else Taliban will kill them. All right. Get this.
By the way, their biometric data ended up getting leaked to the Taliban. I don't know if people know that.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
But why did like, I don't understand how hard it is to just separate those people that were helping American soldiers from these other people. Like that should be a very simple vetting process. I don't know. Maybe I don't
Yeah, well,
understand
then it's
these.
also complicated because then if you have to, because of the nature of how everything happened, you have to evacuate people and then do some screening after the fact. Like that's how some people end up on parole within their immigration process. So then like that process is ongoing. Here, it's just it's kind of a mess.
Susanna, Momo in the live chat has a very specific request. Can you actually do this for him? Momo is saying, Susanna, I want you read this one. This is for you.
I want those tens of billions of US dollars helping US, is it us farms or US farms, not Israel or Ukraine. Okay.
Okay, Susanna, can you make a call? Can you make this happen? I mean, I think Momo thinks that you're very influential in US politics.
Siri, call Kamala Harris.
Okay. And why is this Momo obsessed with you? I mean, I know why. Why am I even asking? Anyways.
We got one question. So, or Hirschfield is asking, are the Yazidis pro-Israelis like the Kurds? I don't have a ton of familiarity with that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. And also I know that there are some Kurds that are big supporters of Israel, but there are also many more that are not. So it's not a simple yes or no unanimous decision. Like many Kurds support Israel from the perspective of they had to give their lives to fight Islamism, so they recognize that same threat. Some Kurds I've seen support Israel from the perspective of they want their own state similar to that of Israel, so that's why they kind of have an affinity. And then there are plenty of others that do not. It's a diverse group.
So I have the answer. Yazidis don't have a unified stance on Israel. Some sympathize with Israel due to shared experiences of persecution, especially after ISIS attacks. Israel's support for Yazidis during the genocide has led some to view it positively, but opinions vary across the community. That's the answer.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight this super chat to show. So NASA saying either humanity ends Zionism or Zionism will end humanity. I just want to highlight this comment to basically show how much we need Zionism. With this mindset, this is the reason why we need Israel. Zionism will end humanity. Look at the perspective that some people have. This is this is exactly why we need Israel, because this is the view that is spreading, that it is spreading among a lot of people. Like this actually is a threat to Jewish people. I mean, people who take such strong positions against Zionism are actually confirming Zionism. These like wow. Okay. So dramatic. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can, because we can roast some people.
Okay. Next news.
Dutch police refuse to guard Jewish sites due to moral objections. In a shocking revelation, Dutch police officials have admitted to accommodating officers who refuse to guard Jewish sites in events due to moral objections, sparking widespread concern and controversy. This alarming practice came to light when police spokeswoman, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Mirielle Benetjis? I don't know. The police spokeswoman stated, quote, "We have a moral objection we have to take moral objections into account when we make the rotas. The issue has raised serious concerns about the integrity of the Dutch police force, particularly in light of the country's history during World War II." little bit of collaboration going on there if you're not familiar.
What the
Members
hell?
Members of the Netherlands Jewish Police Network have expressed deep concern with Officer Michael Thenbon stating, quote, there are colleagues who no longer want to protect Jewish targets or events. They talk about moral dilemmas, and I see a tendency emerging to give into that. That would truly mark the beginning of the end. As the debate intensifies, Dutch officials are grappling with balancing personal beliefs and professional duties, while critics argue that such practices undermine the police's fundamental responsibility to protect all citizens equally. So, this was some news that came out, and this is, I mean, obviously a big deal, and is quite outrageous. And
Is isn't Anne Frank's house in the Netherlands? It
yeah,
is right there. It's in Amsterdam. Okay, so
yeah,
this is so. What the hell? Okay,
yeah.
what the
And
hell is this a real story? Okay, go on.
so the thing is, like, that this includes their National Holocaust Museum, by the way, where there are police that have to go to events there and they like refuse to eat inside the venue. Um, and the thing is that apparently, like, the police are allowed to make moral objections because, and this kind of makes sense. Like, the people making the roster of who's going to protect a site, it would be important for them to know if there's a police officer that has any sort of issue when undertaking their duty. Like, that's an important thing to keep in mind. I understand why that kind of policy exists. Now, if it's becoming a trend, that belies like a huge problem. And basically, what the National Police Commissioner was saying was that, you know, police officers refusing to guard Jewish buildings is not going to be tolerated, but there are discussions that are ongoing about how to deal with these conscientious objections, which is police staff are people and they have the right to their own views and emotions that go with them, but where people's security and is concerned, that is our top priority. We are here for everyone. And a justice
Wait,
minister said
how
that it
is
was,
she not immediately fired? There's discussions going on.
well, okay,
Like,
and I get it. I think that the instinct to immediately fire people is a completely justified instinct, but they can't just like fire a ton of their force. Like, they need people.
they're saying that they refuse to protect. They, like, I mean, if there's a firefighter and there's a house burning, I'm like, and they're not gonna put the fire out because, like, yeah, I don't like the ethnicity of the people who are burning inside, so I'm not going to put out the fire. That's an immediate, like, there's no discussions. They're like, you're fired. Like, what the hell? What?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah, what the frick?
So basically, like, here's the thing, like, being a police officer should be a neutral job. People aren't robots. Like, you are going to have your feelings about one thing or another. Now, this was a crazy story for me to hear because for those who don't know about me, I used to be like Antifa. And so during my tenure, I would go to counter protest these groups that were having protests that were legitimately like white nationalist groups. And I literally saw with my own two eyes police officers defending the perimeter of these black police officers, defending the perimeter of these white nationalists to do their protest. Like, because it's just their job. It's their job. And I'm sure that they had some personal feelings about it. I mean, who wouldn't? These are people that are purposefully inflammatory. But they had a job to do that day. And then this is why Antifa has a lot of like smooth brain correlations between like how the police uphold white supremacy because they're like, look, they're protecting them, they're upholding it, da 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 da. And then there's the whole systemic angle, but that's a different matter. And yeah, so the fact that this is a trend is absolutely outrageous. Do you have any more thoughts? Because I have one more thing I want to say, but it's a little bit off topic.
I just want to say, like, what is their moral dilemma of this police? I just want to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, we're not going to guard Jewish sites. I can't believe I'm even saying this. This sounds like a dream. Like the cat lady in the live chat was saying, this is apartheid. This is apartheid in Netherlands. There's a 2-tier. No, I know she's joking, but like, because but I'm just saying, obviously that's it. But I'm just saying, this is insane. The police. What is the objection? So, for example, I mean, technically, it is not apartheid because it's not written in the law. This is just just some cops. But what was her objection when she's like, so some Jewish sites are not going to be protected against threats? What was her reasoning? So because
it's no, you're not understanding. The police spokesperson, no one has come to say that they're not going to be defended. Let me make that clear. No one has said that they're not going to be defended.
Says refuse to guard Jewish sites over moral
dilemmas. They're just saying that there has been a trend of police officers making it clear to their superiors when making the roster to defend different sites that they have moral dilemmas or moral objections that may interfere with their ability to guard the site.
Okay, it says they refuse to guard Jewish sites over moral dilemmas. So they're refusing to do it. They're not going to do it. That's what it says.
No, that's someone on Twitter saying it. Like it's that they are
the title of
talking about how they have objections to doing it. Or when they are guarding the Jewish sites, they're like refusing to they're allowed to go in there to like buy things and eat things, blah 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 blah. They're refusing to do that. Some of them.
So this is not just that someone on Twitter saying it. This is what the news articles are saying. Dutch police refuse. Dutch police refuse. So they are refusing. Yes. And also our title says that too.
I think it's a little bit more complex than that. Dutch police officials have admitted to accommodating officers who refuse to guard Jewish sites.
Okay, so some Dutch police are refusing to guard these sites. Okay, over moral reasons. What is their moral dilemma? That's what I want to know. What is it? Does it make it clear? Does it mention it? I guess it doesn't mention.
No, it doesn't say. I don't know.
So I'm reading this from the source. There are colleagues who no longer want to protect Jewish targets or events. They talk about moral dilemmas, and I see a tendency emerging to give in to that. What? That would truly mark the beginning of the end. No, they are refusing. They are saying that we don't want to protect these sites. And again, the moral dilemma is what? I just want to understand. The idea is like, try to understand these people as much as possible. Let's assume that Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians. It's not, but let's assume it is. How does that translate to not protecting Jewish sites in Netherlands? Like, I'm trying to see like how stupid do you have to be for that to make that connection? Even if Israel is the greatest evil on earth and is just doing genocide for the sake of doing genocide in Palestine, how does that translate to I'm not going to protect Jewish sites in Netherlands? I mean, I don't even know if that's their reasoning. I'm just assuming. It's just so insane. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just absolutely insane.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's either guilt by association, conflating all Jews with Israel, or I guess like the steelman position would be like, oh, well, these are institutions that support the state of Israel and thereby they support its actions. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe, I know people say it was more complicated than that. I believe every single one of these people should be found and immediately let go of their job. Every single one of them should be fired. This is an insane thing to tolerate. It's absolutely an insane thing to tolerate. There should be no discussions. I think I'm shocked by two things. I'm shocked once that this is even a thing in Netherlands, from all places. I mean, these people should be take a tour of the Anne Frank's house, which is now a museum in Amsterdam. They should be forced to go there. But the fact that this is even a thing, I'm shocked by that in Netherlands. But I'm also shocked a second time where you said there's a discussion about what to do about this, how to accommodate these people or stuff like that. Like, what the fuck? These people should be fired. These people should not just be fired from this job. They should be unhireable. These people should be paying the consequences for even considering this position for the rest of their freaking lives. These people should be made an example of. Every single person that is working for the government in Netherlands should fear what could happen to them because of the example that the government made using these police officers. Even if it comes at the cost to being low on staff, they should show that we will take sacrifices, we will have setbacks, because this is not something that we will tolerate at all. You think that you have the upper hand because we need you, we have low our resources, we're low on staff. Okay, sure, we will take the setback, but we will take the setback a little bit, maybe on being short on staff, but we will not take a setback on our values, because it's our values that makes us who we are as a country. So yeah, I would basically fire all of them, and I will make sure that they all are named and embarrassed, and they are all unhireable. Maybe just flip burgers for the rest of your life. That's what I want. Anyways, we have some super chats in the live chat, so you may want to address those.
Angie is saying that's insane, heartbreaking. Thank you as always. Thank you for the super chat, Angie.
Thank you.
John is celebrating his membership for 5 months and saying, now you can say the fascists are police, Susanna.
That's a good one.
And Gajan is saying, thank you for the super chat, Gajan. Would it be better for non-neutral persons to fake neutrality and perform weaponized incompetence, or have them speak up beforehand? And I think this is actually a good point.
The church.
You know, the fact that there is a mechanism for the police to disclose if they have a moral objection, or they believe that they would not be performing their job to the best of their capacity for certain sites or whatever, is an important mechanism to have within the police force. Like, if you think that there's going to be like a conflict of interest, or like when you're doing, at least in the US, when you're doing jury duty, if you do not think that you can actually be a neutral observer of that, prosecution in that case, you are excluded from jury duty, because that would be a dereliction of your duty. So having that form of disclosure within the police, I think, is an important mechanism. It's a very important mechanism.
Yes, it is. But then when you admit that, then you cannot do your duty. So you shouldn't be a cop.
Okay, but then that's just going to lead people to just not disclosing it at all.
Yeah, but so what do I? So yeah, this is a difficult position. Okay, but if you are, for example, a doctor, and you say that, well, I refuse to operate on Black people. Okay, should we say like, okay, well, let this person remain a doctor, because we want to make sure that other doctors who have these same feelings come and announce, like a firefighter. Like if a firefighter is honest to you and we're like, you know what? If I see Black people burning, I'm not going to put them out. I'm just being honest with you. So
Mhm.
should we allow them to keep their job so that other firefighters are honest about this position? I don't know how I feel about that. I think that person should lose their job. So you could come like, Armin, well, if you take his job, then other firefighters are not going to be honest um about their feelings. And I get that, but at the same time, I don't still see the solution being that that firefighter gets to keep his job. I don't see that as a solution here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's important if someone does have like one of these issues that they're not going to be performing their duty to the best of their ability. Like it's important to know that. But then the next thing is like, okay, well, then do we tolerate that?
I mean, we
No,
shouldn't be tolerating that,
no, we shouldn't
obviously. I
tolerate
mean,
it. But it's true.
okay. I'm not this is as bad. I'm not, when I say a firefighter seeing a house being on fire and realizing that this is a black family and refusing to put it out. This is what I feel like people, when it's Jews, they don't get as outraged as they should be. You know, if every time I say, for example, a black family, like I see Americans are like, oh my God, that is racist. And I have to make that example for people to realize how bad this is when we would do it to Jews. But it's so telling to me
No,
that
I
I
mean that's
have to
obvious
use,
to me.
yeah, I know you know that, but I'm just saying it's so telling to me that I always have to make the black comparison for people to be properly shocked, because they're not properly shocked when it's against the Jews for some reason. Even people who are against anti-Semitism, the racism against Jewish people shocks them less, especially if they're American, compared to the racism against like a black person. Because I mean, I get it, because they have a history of, anti, it's in their books, it's in their movies, so they're more properly shocked by anti-black racism because they have been trained to be shocked by it. And I just think that we need to do more proper training for people to be properly shocked by anti-Jewish racism. Anyways, and someday maybe we could get people to be properly shocked by anti-atheist bigotry. We are far away from that, but someday we will get there as well.
Yeah. I'm not surprised about this happening in the Netherlands at all, because I know someone who left the Netherlands years ago, probably over 10 years ago, because of the anti-Semitism that they were experiencing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
also, I just want on October 7th, Gert Wilders like published a little opinion piece, and one thing that I just thought was funny that I wanted to highlight is people call him far right. But he in this piece I found out about it because he calls out this issue with the police and says that they should be fired and all that stuff. But it's just hilarious to me that they call this man far right and he literally ends this piece with Am Israel Chai.
I mean, they call Tommy Robinson far right too, and he's a Zionist,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight because I thought that was amusing. Yeah. Oh, and we got Kenny gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you,
Eve in
Kenny.
Germany is saying, I have a moral objection that the Dutch police have a moral objection on this matter. Me too. Me too.
Yes. Good.
So we do have one more story, but I'm going to be honest. My chronic pain is killing me right now, and I don't think I could do this segment well. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine, guys. We should. I would just show the segment as a teaser for next time for people. Can I do that? Is that okay? So,
Yeah,
guys,
sure.
this is going to be a very interesting story, and we're just gonna tease it, but we're gonna let Susie go. Susie is in a lot of pain, so we're gonna end the stream here. But subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, And so they, so there's headline story. You can see it on the screen. I'm gonna stop talking because I want to make sure that we go because our Susie's in pain. Guys, we need to end the stream right now. We're gonna end the
It's
stream now so
okay.
Susie can go to cover.
We can go close the stream.
Okay. I'm
Like
just
the
gonna
normal way.
let's hurry, get out of here so Susie can go to cover. Okay, guys, we're gonna head out. Love you all. Mwah, mwah. Don't forget to like the stream and everything. Bye. I'm gonna go so Susie can recover. Bye.
It's okay.
No, I don't want to hold you here. Okay, bye, guys.